This happened almost 7 years ago. 4 friends and I went camping in the forest. It was summer season. We saw a location and decided to stay right there. It was almost evening by then, and all my friends were enjoying themselves. Just then, an old man came there and told us, "It's not good for you to stay here at night because this place is haunted by an evil spirit." Hearing him, all 4 of us burst out laughing. He said that at this place, the spirit comes every night and calls out your names. We didn't believe his words at all. That old man lived a little further away, in a hut on a rock. He said, "If you want, you can stay with me." But we didn't listen to him. We decided to stay right there. Now it was night. The 4 of us made food and were eating. All 4 of us were enjoying ourselves a lot. Now it was time for us to sleep, so we went into our tents. It was almost midnight when a voice came from outside. It said, "Miller, come here." Actually, Miller is my own name. At first I thought one of my friends was calling me, so I didn't pay much attention. But then suddenly the voice came again. "Miller, come here. I'm waiting for you." Now I was certain that my friend was calling me. I went outside the tent. I checked all 3 of their tents, but everyone was sleeping in their tents. I thought, if everyone is sleeping, then who called out? I was walking around here and there when once again a voice came from the direction of the forest. "Miller, come here." Now I was completely scared. Slowly, the old man's words were starting to seem true. I woke up my friends. All 3 of them had woken up too. But then the voice came again. "Miller, come here." My friends heard that voice too. Hearing this voice, the 3 of them were also startled. Just then, after a little while, a strange sound came from our car. Now we were convinced that some evil spirit truly haunted this place. We immediately went to that old man's hut. We told the old man, "There really is a spirit living there." The old man said, "Now you are completely safe with me." All 4 of us spent the night in that same hut. As soon as morning came, we set off toward home. On the way, I saw that everyone's face had an atmosphere of fear. Everyone had become very quiet. Even today, when I think about this incident, my soul trembles. Summer 2012. The kind of humid evening where the ceiling fan just pushes warm air around instead of cooling anything down. My mom, my aunt, and I were piled onto the couch the way we always were that season, half watching, half existing together in that lazy after-dinner haze. We'd been marathoning Heroes for weeks by then. It had become a ritual, one of those unspoken agreements where nobody asks, "Are we watching it tonight?" You just end up on the couch and the TV just turns on. Nothing about that night felt different at first. That's what makes it worse in hindsight. There was no warning, no shift in the air, no sense of something coming. It was just an ordinary Tuesday-feeling night. Right up until it wasn't. We were maybe 20 minutes into the episode when the screen flickered. Not badly, just enough to notice. And the show reset itself. Back to the cold open. Back to the beginning. I remember blinking at the TV, like I'd misjudged how much time had passed, like maybe I'd zoned out longer than I thought. "Did it just restart?" I asked. My mom didn't even look over. "I haven't seen this episode yet." I let it go. People say weird half-asleep things on the couch at 10 at night. My aunt hadn't looked up from her phone the entire time. No help there. So I just figured I'd missed something. Some remote mishap, some Netflix hiccup, and I settled back in. Then, it happened again. Same scene. Same dialogue. That specific line of tension in an actor's voice, word for word, cadence for cadence, like a needle finding the same groove in a record. My stomach did something I didn't have a name for yet. I turned to my mom, and this time there was an edge in my voice. "Mom, it's doing it again." She turned to me, slow, almost lazy, and said it again. The exact same sentence. Not a paraphrase. Not, "Oh, weird, huh?" The identical words. The identical flat tone. Like a recording of herself. I haven't seen this episode yet. Or when I pushed harder, when my voice started cracking. "Why are you acting so weird?" That question terrified me more than the loop itself, because from where I was sitting, I wasn't the one acting strange. I was the only person in that room who seemed to notice anything was wrong at all. My aunt hadn't reacted once. Not a raised eyebrow, not a comment, nothing. Like she existed in some untouched pocket of the evening that the loop wasn't reaching or didn't care to. At some point, I stopped trying to explain and started trying to escape it instead. I remember thinking, with this rising, childish desperation, if the next episode just plays, this will be over. Like the show itself was some kind of gatekeeper, and if we could just get past this one episode, whatever was happening would release us. And then it happened. The episode ended. The next one started. Different music, different cold open, a flood of relief so intense I could have cried right there. It lasted maybe 30 seconds. The screen didn't flicker this time. It just cut. Hard, instant, no transition. Straight back to the episode we'd already watched 4, 5, 6 times over. No stutter, no warning. One moment we were moving forward, and the next we'd been pulled backward like something had reached out and yanked the thread we were standing on. That's when I broke. I wasn't trying to sound calm anymore. I was crying, begging my mom to just look at me, to tell me she understood, to give me anything other than that sentence. I remember grabbing her arm. I remember how normal her skin felt, how normal her voice sounded, how none of it matched what was happening on that screen. And how that mismatch was somehow worse than if she'd been screaming. She just looked at me, calm as still water, and said it one more time. "I haven't seen this episode yet." I didn't wait for a 7th leap. I got up, went to my room, and cried until I fell asleep. The kind of crying that isn't really about anything specific anymore, just pure overflow. Your body trying to purge something it doesn't have language for. The next morning, everything had reset in a different well. My mom told me I'd gone to bed early the night before, said I'd seemed off, a little quiet, a little strange. No mention of the show, no mention of the loop. Like the whole night had been quietly folded up and put away somewhere I couldn't reach it anymore, except in my memory, where it has stayed sharp and intact ever since. I've turned it over in my head more times than I can count. A shared hallucination doesn't explain why the screen itself seemed to loop. A dream doesn't explain the exact, unchanging wording of that sentence, repeated with the same flat cadence, like a line of code executing on schedule. I don't have a tidy explanation. And honestly, I've stopped looking for one. What I do know is this. To this day, if I catch a TV rewinding on its own, or a scene feels a half second too familiar, something in my chest locks up before my brain even catches up to why. I don't know what happened in that living room in the summer of 2012. I just know I never want to be caught inside a loop like that again. And some nights, when the house is quiet and the show cuts back to a scene I swear I just watched, I wonder if I already have been. I was 15 years old, and I already knew the smell of death the way other kids knew the smell of cut grass or their mother's kitchen. My family ran the funeral home. I grew up in the building where grief came to sit in overstuffed chairs and speak in whispers. I thought I understood the shape of sorrow. I did not yet understand the shape of evil standing 3 feet away from me, shaking my hand. It started with a phone call on an ordinary afternoon. My father took it in the back office, and I remember the change in his voice, that particular funeral director calm he used when something was very wrong. A young mother and her infant daughter had been murdered in their home. Shot. No forced entry, no robbery, no obvious motive. The kind of case that makes a small town go quiet and lock its doors at night. By the next morning, it was the only thing anyone talked about. The story ran above the fold. Reporters called the home. Neighbors who had never met the family suddenly had opinions about who could do such a thing. And somewhere in the middle of all that noise, my father told me we'd be handling the arrangements. I didn't think much of it at first. It was work. Work was normal, even when the reason for it wasn't. Then the police came to talk to us before the viewing, and the air in the building changed. They didn't tell us everything. They never did. But they told us enough. They believed whoever did this might come to pay their respects. Killers did that sometimes, they said. They liked to watch. They liked to feel the room hold its breath around a grief they'd caused and knew no one else could see. So there would be officers in the building during the viewing, plainclothes, watching faces, not caskets. I remember standing in the doorway of the arrangement room listening to that, feeling something cold slide down the back of my neck. I was 15. I had helped file paperwork and update guest books and answer phones. I'd never been asked to watch people. But that's exactly what they asked me to do. The idea was simple, and it was clever precisely because no one would suspect it. Sympathy cards and flower arrangements had come in from all over, dozens of them, ribbons trailing names of people who claimed to have loved this family. The detectives wanted a record of every name attached to every arrangement, and they wanted someone to quietly show that list to the husband, the widower, every so often, to ask, almost conversationally, if any of the names meant anything to him. Someone who seemed harmless, someone people wouldn't clock as part of an investigation. A kid. Me. So I did it. I'd walk the floor with a little photocopied stack, weaving between folding chairs and low murmurs of condolence. And every so often I'd find him, the husband, and ask gently, like it was nothing, whether he recognized this name or that one. He'd take the pages from me with hands that trembled just slightly. He'd study them like a man trying very hard to find something helpful buried in his own grief. Then he'd shake his head, hand them back, and thank me. Every time, quietly. Every time like it cost him something. I believed every second of it. He looked destroyed, hollowed out. The kind of devastated that doesn't perform itself. The kind that just sits on a person's shoulders like wet concrete. I remember thinking, at 15, that I was watching what the absolute floor of human suffering looked like. His wife lay in the casket at the front of the room, and in her arms, arranged with a tenderness that still catches in my throat all these years later, was their infant daughter. People filed past in a hush usually reserved for something sacred. And he stood near me, again and again, taking those photocopied pages, searching them, finding nothing. I had no idea I was standing next to the second half of a murder pact. That's the part I still can't get my head around, even now. because the break in the case didn't come from surveillance, or from anything the detectives caught that night, or from any slip I might have half noticed and forgotten. It came from someone nobody in that room would have thought to interview. A 3-year-old girl. She'd been in the house. She wasn't the victim's child. She belonged to a neighbor or was visiting. I no longer remember exactly how she came to be there. But she'd seen a man leave. Just a man walking out of a house on an afternoon like any other. Small children notice things adults have trained themselves to stop seeing. They don't yet know which details are supposed to matter and which aren't, so they keep all of them. And what this little girl kept, tucked away in a 3-year-old's memory, was a face. When the detectives eventually sat her down, however you interview a witness that young, gently, with toys and patience and careful questions, she picked him out. Not a stranger, not a masked man from a nightmare. Her father's best friend. The two men, it turned out, had made a pact with each other. Each would kill the other's family. Each would walk away financially and, they must have imagined, emotionally uninvolved. An alibi built into the architecture of the murder itself, since neither man was anywhere near his own home when his own family died. Then they'd start again. New lives, new partners. The secretaries, each of them had apparently already chosen to run off with. A plan so cold it barely sounds like something real people do to each other. And for a while, it worked. Right up until a toddler with no idea what she'd witnessed pointed at a photograph and said a name. Once she talked, everything came apart fast. One of them broke, confessed, implicated the other, and the whole architecture of it collapsed at once. The alibi, the story, the grieving widower performance I'd watched up close for hours without once suspecting it was a performance at all. Both men were convicted on multiple counts. Both went to prison. And the case that headlines had called nearly unsolvable was closed on testimony from a witness who, on any other day, would have been playing with blocks on someone's living room floor instead of sitting across from detectives trying to describe a face. I think about it more than I probably should. I think about handing him those photocopied pages, watching him search them with what I was certain was grief. I think about how good he must have been, not just at killing, but at grieving, convincingly enough to fool a room full of adults, a building full of professionals who dealt in death every day, and a 15-year-old kid standing right beside him with a stack of names, feeling sorry for him. I never looked at people the same way again. Not out of fear exactly, more like a permanent, quiet recalibration. A reminder that the base grief wears and the base guilt wears can, for the right person, be exactly the same face. And that sometimes the only witness capable of seeing past it isn't the trained detective or the grown adult standing 3 feet away. Sometimes it's a 3-year-old watching a man walk out a door and simply remembering what she saw.